Commander Leah Carter saw the first county SUV in her mirror just after she crossed the Stonebridge River. It came up fast with no siren, only blue lights flashing behind the grille. A second unit appeared from an on-ramp, then a third. By the time Leah reached the next mile marker, 5 marked vehicles had formed around her black state-issued Tahoe. One stayed behind her bumper, 2 moved up on either side. Another blocked the left lane. The 5th accelerated ahead and slowed across both lanes. Leah took her foot off the gas. She was 44, wearing a dark field jacket over a grey t-shirt, black jeans, and boots. Nothing about her looked like command staff. That was intentional. She had left Richmond before sunrise without an escort because the operation waiting north of Stonebridge County was supposed to stay quiet until the last possible minute. Her phone buzzed in the cup holder. A secure message from the Joint Operations Center appeared on the lock screen.
Raven flight ready, ground entry holding, command check 17 min.
Leah did not touch the phone. The county SUV ahead of her switched on its roof bar and moved harder into her lane.
Her voice came through a loudspeaker. Black Tahoe, pull onto the shoulder.
Engine off, hands visible. Leah looked at the road in front of her. There was no safe shoulder for another 100 yards. She turned on her hazard lights and slowed. The loudspeaker came again. Pull over now, Leah muttered. That's not a shoulder. She kept moving at 20 miles an hour until the guardrail opened into a gravel turnout. Then she stopped. All 5 county vehicles stopped with her. That was the first thing that felt wrong. A normal traffic stop did not need 5 units. A felony stop might, but nobody had ordered her out at gunpoint, and no one had called her vehicle description over an open radio channel that she could hear. The formation looked less like officers responding to a danger, and more like people who had been told not to let one specific vehicle keep moving. Leah put the Tahoe in park. Her left hand rested on the steering wheel. Her right stayed open on her thigh. The secure watch on her wrist showed a green icon. Link active. She had checked it before leaving the staging annex that afternoon. Her aviation coordinator had joked that the watch mattered more than her coffee because it carried her encrypted command authentication. Leah had answered that if anybody separated her from coffee and command authority on the same day, they deserved whatever happened next. Now she watched 2 deputies approach. The older man came from the lead SUV. Tall, thick through the shoulders, county captain bars on his collar. His body camera was dark. The younger officer behind him kept one hand near his belt and the other open. His camera showed a red recording light. The captain stopped beside Leah's window. Turn the engine off, it is off! Keys on the dash! It's push button. His eyes narrowed as if she had corrected him on purpose. Then place both hands on the wheel. Leah did license. My wallet is inside my jacket. May I reach for it? The younger officer glanced at the captain. The captain said, slowly. Leah took out her driver's license and held it through the open window. The captain read the name Leah Carter. That's right. Step out. What is the reason for the stop? We'll discuss that after you step out. Leah looked at the 5 SUVs again. Am I being detained? The captain stared at her.
Ma'am, I am Captain Mason Holt with the Stonebridge County Sheriff's Office. I am directing you to exit the vehicle, Leah heard the wording.
No answer, just rank. She opened the door. Holt took 2 steps back. Faced the vehicle. Leah stepped onto the gravel and faced the Tahoe. The younger officer moved into view. He was probably early 30s, dark hair, controlled expression. His nameplate read Navarro. Leah kept her hands where both men could see them. I'd still like to know why I'm being detained, Holt said. We received an armed vehicle bulletin involving this Tahoe. Leah turned her head slightly. Armed vehicle bulletin? Face forward. She did. What does that mean? It means the vehicle matches one connected to stolen tactical equipment and possible impersonation of law enforcement. For the first time, Leah's face changed, not fear. Recognition. Someone had chosen those words carefully. Stolen tactical equipment. Impersonation. 2 accusations almost guaranteed to make local officers treat any credential she showed them as potentially fake. Navarro noticed her reaction. You know something about that?
Leah answered, I know this vehicle belongs to the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Holt gave a short laugh. Registration comes back restricted. Restricted isn't stolen. We'll determine that. Leah looked over her shoulder. Call the state operations desk and verify the fleet number. Holt's expression tightened. Don't tell me who to call. I'm telling you the fastest way to clear your stop. Holt stepped closer. You seem very comfortable directing officers. Leah held his gaze. I'm comfortable with verification. That answer bothered him more than anger would have. He pointed toward the rear of the Tahoe, hands on the vehicle. Leah complied. Holt patted down her jacket and waistband. No weapon, no badge, no visible radio. He found the secure phone in her pocket. Then he found the slim black command tablet inside her jacket. He held it up. What is this? Government property. What kind? Secure communications. Who issued it? Verify the vehicle, and I'll answer what I'm authorized to answer. Holt looked at Navarro. You hearing this? Navarro did not smile. I'm hearing her ask us to verify the fleet number. Holt's eyes moved to him. I didn't ask what she asked. A small silence opened between them. Leah filed it away. That was the first fracture. Holt turned back to her. Unlock the tablet. No, his jaw shifted. Excuse me.
I won't unlock secure government equipment on the side of a public highway.
If it's government property, prove it. The fleet number proves the vehicle. The device serial can be confirmed through state command. Unlock it. No, Holt stepped into her line of sight. If you keep refusing lawful instructions, this becomes obstruction. Leah looked at him, then state the lawful basis for accessing encrypted material unrelated to your bulletin. Navarro looked down for half a second. Holt did not. You think this is a courtroom? No. Leah's voice stayed even.
I think you're making choices that will have to survive one.
Holt stared at her. A truck passed on the highway, throwing wind and grit across the turnout. Leah felt the secure watch vibrate once against her wrist. 16 minutes to command check. She could end this fast. One sentence would probably do it. My name is Leah Carter. I command the Commonwealth Tactical Response Group. Holt would either recognize the unit or call someone who did. But there was a problem. The armed bulletin itself was already wrong in a very specific way. If the stop was connected to the operation north of the county line, announcing her role over 5 county radios could compromise more than her afternoon. The team waiting for her was preparing to serve a high-risk warrant on a weapons broker, believed to have a source inside local law enforcement. Only a small circle knew Leah was traveling to the forward command post in person. She had no proof that Holt was part of that leak. She also had no proof he wasn't. So she made the choice that would cost her later. She stayed quiet. Holt held out his hand. Phone and tablet, you can secure them while you verify my identity. You cannot search them. That's not your decision. It is until you have legal authority. Holt took both devices anyway and carried them to his SUV.
Navarro remained with Leah. For a moment, neither spoke.
Then Navarro said quietly, Is there a number I can call? Leah looked at him. Yes, give it to me. State Emergency Operations.
Ask for fleet verification on the Tahoe. Don't use my name over open radio.
Navarro frowned. Why not? Because if this is an honest mistake, you don't need it. If it isn't, you really don't. Navarro studied her. That was the first moment somebody on the county side looked less suspicious of Leah than of the situation. He walked toward his cruiser. Holt saw him. Where are you going? To verify the vehicle. I already requested a return. From county dispatch. Holt's face hardened. That's our dispatch. She gave me a state verification route. Holt stepped toward him. Stay on the perimeter. Navarro stopped. Captain, if the bulletin says impersonation and the plate is restricted, outside verification makes sense. Holt lowered his voice. You want to make tactical decisions now? No, then do your job. Navarro's mouth tightened. He returned to Leah. Holt looked at her as if she had caused the disagreement. You like getting officers to argue with each other? I haven't told him anything except how to check your information. Holt walked to the Tahoe and opened the front passenger door. Leah's tone changed. Captain, he ignored her. You do not have consent to search this vehicle. I'm securing any equipment connected to the bulletin. You haven't established that the bulletin is valid. Holt leaned into the passenger compartment. Inside the Tahoe were a trauma bag, 2 sealed radio cases, a folded ballistic vest, bottled water, and a locked grey equipment box bolted behind the second row. Nothing was labelled for public view. Nothing needed to be. Holt pulled out the folded vest. There was no agency patch on the front. He held it up, Interesting. Leah said nothing. He found an empty helmet bag, then a headset, then a laminated card with frequencies printed in coded abbreviations. Holt looked toward her. You're carrying tactical gear, encrypted electronics, and restricted communications. Still want to tell me this bulletin is wrong? Leah looked at the vest in his hand. Yes, who do you work for? Verify the Tahoe. Who do you work for? You've asked that twice. Answer it. Not until I know who created that bulletin. Holt's expression changed, only slightly, but Leah saw it. Navarro saw something too. He looked toward Holt. What do you mean? Who created it? Leah kept her eyes on the captain. An armed vehicle bulletin should have an originating agency, timestamp, incident number, and base. Holt said, you don't need to know that. I do if you're using it to detain me. Navarro asked, Captain, what's the incident number? Holt turned on him. Enough. Navarro didn't move. I didn't hear one on dispatch. Holt stared at him for a long second. Then he walked back to his SUV with Leah's phone and tablet. He opened the driver's door and sat inside. From where Leah stood, she could see only part of his face through the windshield. Holt picked up his personal phone instead of his radio. He typed something, waited. A message came back. His eyes moved across it. Then he glanced toward Leah. The reply was only visible to him. Hold vehicle, do not release. 20 minutes. Holt locked the phone and sat still. He had been a county deputy for 22 years. He had spent most of that time believing the worst thing a street officer could do was hesitate when danger was real. But this did not feel like danger anymore. The woman outside had no weapon. The vehicle had not returned stolen. She had given him a direct route to state verification. Even Navarro was asking the same question Holt had been avoiding. He could end the stop. He knew that. Then he looked at the message again. 20 minutes, he stepped back out. Leah watched him approach. What did they say? Holt slid his phone into his pocket. You're staying here. Who is they? Turn around. Leah didn't. For what? Holt reached for his cuffs. Navarro moved closer, Captain. Holt didn't look at him. She's being detained pending verification. We haven't tried the state number. We don't need her directing our investigation. Leah looked at Navarro. Your camera is recording? Yes. Holt snapped. Stop answering her. Leah faced him again.
You had a chance to verify this before searching the Tahoe.
Holt held the cuffs in one hand. You don't decide my timeline. No, but somebody gave you one. That stopped him. Navarro looked at Holt. Leah continued. You keep checking your personal phone.
You haven't asked dispatch for an originating incident number.
And every time someone suggests outside verification, you shut it down. Holt's face went flat. You done know. She glanced at his dark body camera. I also noticed yours isn't recording. Navarro turned toward him. Holt looked down. It malfunctioned. When Holt stepped behind Leah. Hands behind your back. Leah did not resist. Navarro said, Captain, we can wait for a supervisor. I am the supervisor. The first cuff closed round Leah's right wrist. Her watch was on the left. Holt reached for that arm. The watch vibrated again. 10 minutes. Leah's mistake had been assuming she could keep the stop contained long enough for somebody to act rationally. She understood that now, Holt. It was the first time she had used his name without title. He looked at her. Do not remove that watch. His eyes dropped to it. Why? Because it is not personal property. Then whose is it? Leave it on my wrist. Holt's mouth curved without humor. Now you want to cooperate? This is me cooperating. Then tell me what it does. Leah held his gaze. It confirms that I'm where I'm supposed to be. Navarro frowned. To who? Leah did not answer. Holt took the second cuff but couldn't close it cleanly around the watch. Take it off. No, he stared at her. You're in detention. I'm not leaving an unknown electronic device on you. You can cuff me in front, no. Then secure the cuff above it.
No. Navarro stepped closer. Captain, if it's some kind of monitored device.
Holt grabbed Leah's wrist. Unlock it. Leah's voice hardened. Don't unlock it. No. He pressed the side release. The watch displayed a biometric warning, auth link disturbed. Holt couldn't read the coded status line beneath it. Leah could. She felt the situation move beyond the roadside. Holt, stop. He pulled the watch free. For the first time, real urgency entered Leah's voice. Put it back on. Holt looked almost satisfied to hear emotion from her. Why? Because you don't know what you just interrupted. Navarro looked at the watch. The green icon had turned amber. Holt dropped it into a clear evidence pouch. Leah took one step toward him before catching herself.
Navarro's hand rose, ma'am. She stopped. Holt sealed the pouch.
The amber icon changed again, link lost. Leah looked at the tiny screen through the plastic. Then she looked north toward the low ridgeline beyond the highway. Holt followed her eyes. What? Leah's jaw tightened. You wanted verification. She looked back at him. Now you're going to get it. Holt tossed the sealed pouch onto the hood of his SUV. 2 counties away, inside a joint tactical command trailer, Leah Carter's authentication signal disappeared from the operations board. A yellow status box appeared beside her call sign. Command link lost. An aviation coordinator looked up from his console. Commander Carter just dropped. The operations chief turned. Phone no secure handshake. Vehicle stationary on Route 17. The coordinator checked the contingency card clipped beside his screen. Leah's command check was still 10 minutes away, but the watch had not simply gone offline. It had reported force separation first. The coordinator reached for the aviation channel. At a staging field north of Stonebridge, 4 helicopter crews had been sitting on hot standby for the operation Leah was supposed to command. Rotor brakes released. Ground crews stepped back. The first turbine began to spool. Back on the highway, Captain Mason Holt reached for Leah's secure tablet. Let's find out what else you're hiding. Leah looked at the sealed watch on his hood. Then at the darkening sky beyond him. Captain, you need to stop touching my equipment. Holt powered on the tablet. The screen asked for command authentication. He held it toward her. Unlock it. Leah said nothing. Holt tapped the screen again. The tablet displayed a red security notice. Remote command check failed. Navarro read it over his shoulder.
Captain Holt ignored him. Navarro's radio crackled.
Not county dispatch. A state emergency frequency had broken through the scan bank. All units operating Route 17 corridor hold non-essential traffic. State aviation package diverting southbound. Navarro looked toward the ridge line. Holt lowered the tablet. What aviation package? Nobody answered him. Leah kept her eyes on the north. The sound was still too far away to hear. But she knew exactly what was coming, and Holt had just made sure it was coming to him. The first helicopter appeared as a dark shape over the northern ridge. Navarro saw it before Holt did. He had been watching the state frequency display on his cruiser when the low thump of rotor blades reached the highway. He turned toward the sound captain. Holt was still holding Leah's tablet. What? Navarro pointed. The aircraft cleared the trees. It was not a news helicopter. It was not medical transport. The helicopter came in low enough for its tactical configuration to be obvious even from the turnout. A second aircraft followed several hundred yards behind it. Then a third. Holt stared north. What the hell is this? Leah said nothing. The helicopters continued toward them. County radios started talking at once. Command be advised, aviation traffic approaching Route 17. Copy. Do we have state activity in the area? Negative on our board. Another voice broke in.
Route 17 units, state aviation has requested your exact location.
Holt grabbed his shoulder microphone. Stonebridge Command, this is Captain Holt. Tell state aviation they are entering an active county detention scene. There was a pause. Then dispatch answered. Captain, they already have your coordinates. Holt looked at Leah. She remained cuffed with one wrist behind her and the other still free because he had never completed the restraint after removing the watch. The watch lay sealed on his hood. Its screen was dark now. Navarro looked from the helicopters to Leah. Did that watch send our location? Leah answered it sent mine. Holt stepped toward her. To who? She looked at him. You still haven't verified the vehicle. The first helicopter passed over the highway. Rotor wash kicked dust across the turnout. Everyone turned away from the grit except Leah. The aircraft banked. It did not land, it circled. The second helicopter arrived and took a wider orbit. Then the third. A fourth shape appeared farther north. Drivers on the highway were slowing. Some had already pulled off the road. Holt shouted over the rotor noise. You called these people?
No. Then why are they here? Because you separated me from equipment designed not to be separated from me.
Holt's face tightened. That makes no sense. It doesn't have to make sense to you. He stepped closer. You're detained during an armed vehicle investigation, carrying encrypted state equipment, tactical gear, and a monitored device that triggers helicopters when somebody touches it. You understand how that looks? Leah looked at him.
Yes.
That answer stopped him, she continued.
It looks like you should have made the verification call 40 minutes ago.
Navarro turned away to hide his reaction. Holt saw it anyway. Something funny? No, sir. Then secure her. Navarro looked at Leah. Then at the cuff hanging from her right wrist. On what charge? Holt stared at him. I said secure her. Navarro did not move. The fourth helicopter crossed the ridge line. It flew higher than the others and remained outside the orbit. Navarro's radio crackled again. Stonebridge units, State Tactical Command requesting confirmation of Commander Carter's condition. Nobody spoke. Holt looked at the radio. Navarro looked at Leah. The dispatcher came back. Repeat. State Tactical Command is requesting confirmation of Commander Carter's condition.
Holt picked up his microphone. Dispatch, clarify first name.
The reply came immediately. Leah. The highway noise seemed to disappear beneath the rotors. Holt slowly turned toward her. Navarro's eyes narrowed. Commander? Leah looked at Holt. He said, Commander of what? She did not answer him. Instead, she looked at Navarro. Ask State Command for challenge code Sierra 7. Holt stepped between them. No. Navarro looked at him.
Captain, no one transmits anything until I know what this is.
Leah's expression hardened. They're already asking about my condition. That doesn't prove you are who they think you are. Then use the challenge code. Holt pointed at the tablet. You could have programmed all of this. Navarro stared at him. 4 helicopters? Holt snapped. You think criminals don't plan? Leah looked at Navarro. Officer, do exactly what your captain said earlier. Navarro frowned. What, do your job? Holt stepped toward her. Enough. The first helicopter completed another orbit. A side door was open now. A crew member in a flight helmet sat inside. No weapon was pointed toward the highway. No one rappelled down. No tactical team stormed the turnout that mattered. The aircraft were holding, waiting for confirmation. Leah noticed Navarro noticing it. They aren't treating you like a hostile scene, he said quietly. Holt heard him. They're treating it like one until I know otherwise. Navarro shook his head. No, sir, if they thought we were hostile, they wouldn't be circling this clean. Holt stepped closer. You suddenly an aviation expert? No, Navarro met his eyes. But I know what escalation looks like. Leah watched the relationship change again. This time it did not look temporary. Holt saw it too. He keyed his radio. Dispatch, send me the state command number. Captain, they're requesting direct radio contact. I asked for a number, another pause. Then dispatch, read one. Holt wrote it on his palm. He walked several yards away and called from his personal phone. Leah watched him. Navarro watched him too. Holt turned his back.
Stonebridge County.
Captain Holt.
A pause. I have a woman detained identifying herself.
He stopped. He had almost said identifying herself as Commander Carter. She had never identified herself that way, he corrected.
I have Leah Carter detained. Another pause.
Yes. His posture changed. Hold on. He looked toward Leah. Then back toward the highway. What is your full agency designation? Whatever answer came through the phone erased some color from his face. He turned farther away. I need a verification protocol. Pause. No, I'm not giving you access to my scene. Another pause. Holt's voice hardened. I said she's detained. Navarro moved closer to Leah. What are they saying? I can't hear. What do you think they're saying? Leah looked at him.
That your captain has reached the part where he has to decide whether being wrong is worse than becoming dishonest.
Navarro glanced toward Holt. He already lied about his camera. Leah looked at him. You know that? Navarro hesitated. The battery indicator showed 80% when he checked in before shift. That was new. Leah's eyes sharpened. Was the camera functioning then? Did you see him turn it off? No. Then don't claim you did. Navarro looked at her. You're protecting him. No. I'm protecting the record. That answer stayed with him. Holt ended the call. He stood still for a few seconds. Then he walked back. The aggressive certainty had changed. Not disappeared. Change he was calculating now. Leah had seen that look on commanders who knew a plan had failed but still believed they could control the report. Holt held up her tablet. I was given a unit name.
Navarro waited. Holt said, Commonwealth Tactical Response Group.
Navarro looked at Leah. Holt continued, They say Leah Carter is attached to command. Attached? Leah asked. That's what I was told. No, it isn't. Holt's eyes narrowed. You weren't on the call. I know how my operations center answers identity verification. For the first time, Holt did not immediately challenge her. Leah continued, They would not describe me as attached to command. Navarro looked at Holt. What did they actually say?
Holt ignored him. Leah said, Ask him. Navarro did.
Captain Holt's voice sharpened. I'm handling this. Navarro stared at him. You were told more than that. Holt pointed toward the cruisers. Get back to your unit.
No, sir. The words came out before Navarro seemed to realize he had said them.
Holt froze. Navarro swallowed but did not retreat. I'm part of this detention. My camera has the entire stop. If State Command gave us identifying information, it belongs in the incident record. Holt stepped toward him. You refusing an order? I'm asking what they told you. Leah said nothing. The helicopters continued orbiting above them. Holt looked at Navarro's body camera. The red light stared back. He changed direction. Fine. He turned toward Leah. They identified you as commanding officer for a state tactical response unit.
Navarro's eyes widened. Leah said, Full title. Holt's face flushed.
Don't push it. Full title. Holt stared at her. Then the state frequency came alive again. Stonebridge County Raven Lead, requesting direct status on Tactical Commander Leah Carter. The answer came for him. Navarro looked toward Leah. SWAT! Leah finally nodded. I command the state tactical group responsible for the operation those aircraft were supporting. Holt glanced up at the helicopters. There it was. The first truth he could no longer reshape by changing vocabulary. He had stopped a SWAT commander. He had searched her command vehicle. He had removed the device that authenticated her location. And a flight package assigned to her operation was now circling his roadside detention. But Leah did not smile. She did not ask for the cuffs to come off. She looked at her watch on the hood. Captain, restore my equipment. Holt's surprise turned into resistance. Not yet. Navarro looked at him. Sir? Holt held up the tablet. We still have an armed vehicle bulletin. Leah stared at him. You just verified who I am. That verifies your employment.
My identity is the reason your bulletin claims impersonation.
It does not tell me why a state SWAT commander is moving tactical equipment through my county without notifying us. Leah's expression changed. That question mattered. Who told you I was supposed to notify you? Holt hesitated. Only for a fraction of a second, Leah caught it, so somebody did.
Holt said, Joint operations are normally coordinated.
This one wasn't with your office. Why, that is not information I can discuss roadside. Convenient, Leah looked past him toward Navarro. Ask your dispatch when the bulletin entered your system. Holt said don't. Navarro reached for his radio.
Dispatch, Unit 12. Need bulletin creation time on the Carter vehicle alert.
Holt stepped toward him. I told you, dispatch answered before Holt could finish. Stand by. A few seconds passed, then alert entered at 16:43. Leah looked at the sun. What time did you first see me? Navarro checked his body camera clock, 16:51. 8 minutes, Leah asked originating agency. Dispatch did not answer immediately. Holt grabbed his microphone, disregard. Navarro looked at him. Why, because I said so. Dispatch spoke again.
Captain, there is no originating agency field attached.
Nobody moved. Leah's eyes stayed on Holt. He had been given another exit. This time, the lie in the system was visible to everyone. Navarro asked, who can create a bulletin without an origin code? Dispatch answered, supervisory local access can enter temporary officer safety alerts. Holt's face changed. Leah noticed. Navarro noticed too. Local access, he asked. Dispatch said affirmative. Leah looked at Holt. You told me this was a regional armed vehicle bulletin. Holt said nothing. You knew it was local? No. You never checked? I received an active alert. You never checked. Holt stepped toward her. Don't turn this around. Leah's voice stayed controlled. I don't have to. She looked at the radio. Your own system just did. Holt reached for the watch pouch. Leah thought he might finally return it. Instead, he put it inside his SUV. Then he placed her tablet beside it. Navarro stared at him. What are you doing? Preserving the devices until we determine who generated the alert. Leah's voice sharpened.
Those devices are not evidence in your internal system problem.
They triggered an aviation response into my county. They triggered because you removed the watch. I don't know that.
You were standing there when it happened. Holt closed the SUV door.
Until someone above me tells me otherwise, they stay secured. Leah's gaze changed. Someone above you already did. Holt looked up at the helicopters. No, they told me your job title. He pointed toward the aircraft. They don't command this county. Leah looked at him for a long moment, then she said, "That's your second serious mistake." Holt almost laughed. "Second? You're assuming the helicopters came here to command you." "What are they here for?" "To protect the operation you interrupted." The words landed differently. Navarro looked north. "What operation?" Leah did not answer. Holt's eyes narrowed. "Something in Stonebridge?" "No." "Then why were you driving through here?" "I was going to a forward command location. For what?" "Need to know." Holt shook his head. "You want cooperation while refusing every question." Leah looked at him.
You're confusing information you want with information you're entitled to.
He stepped closer. "And you're confusing rank with jurisdiction."
No.
Her voice dropped.
I'm telling you, this stop may already have compromised people who aren't standing here.
For the first time, Navarro looked alarmed. Holt heard only challenge.
Who? Leah looked directly at him. The reason I wouldn't broadcast my identity.
Holt said nothing. Leah continued. "You received a false alert 8 minutes before stopping me. It contained enough detail to identify my restricted state vehicle. Whoever entered it knew where I would be." Navarro's expression changed. Holt looked at him. Navarro said, "Captain, she's right about that." "You don't know that. The alert had the plate. Restricted plates can still be queried." "By who?" Holt's jaw tightened. Leah stepped closer as far as the cuff allowed. "That's the question you should have asked before searching my vehicle." The state radio interrupted again.
Stonebridge County, Raven Lead requests confirmation Commander Carter is mobile or immobile.
Navarro picked up his radio. Holt said, "Don't answer." Navarro looked at Leah. She said, "Tell them immobile." Holt stepped toward him. Navarro keyed the radio.
Raven Lead, Stonebridge Unit 12. Commander Carter is immobile at Route 17 turnout.
No reported injury. The answer came at once. "Copy."
Hold position. Ground liaison en route.
Holt stared at him. "You just transmitted on a state tactical channel without authorization." Navarro lowered the microphone. "I answered a welfare request." "You are done on this scene." Navarro unclipped his radio. "No, sir." Holt stared. Navarro continued. "You can relieve me after another supervisor gets here. Until then, my camera stays on and I'm documenting." Holt's face hardened. Leah knew what was coming before he did it. He walked toward Navarro. "Give me your body camera." Navarro stepped back. No, Holt reached for it. Navarro caught his wrist. Not violently, just enough to stop him. Both men froze. Leah said, "Don't." Navarro released Holt immediately. "My mistake." Holt looked at his wrist, then at Navarro. "You just put your hands on a superior officer. I stopped you from removing active evidence." "Evidence?" Navarro pointed at the camera. "This." Holt looked toward Leah. She had not moved. The helicopter rotors beat overhead. Drivers had stopped filming from beyond the turnout now. Too many people were watching. Holt lowered his voice. "You have no idea what's happening here, Navarro." Navarro answered, "That's why I'm recording it." Holt walked away. For the next several minutes, he said almost nothing. That worried Leah more than the shouting had. She watched him return to his SUV. He sat inside with the door closed. This time she could see both his hands. One held his personal phone. He typed, waited, then typed again.
Navarro moved toward Leah. You think he created the bulletin?
"I don't know. He's acting like he knows who did." "That isn't the same thing." Navarro nodded. "You really are command." Leah looked at him. "Does that change whether the stop was wrong?" "No, good. Why didn't you tell us?" Leah looked north toward the helicopters. "Because my team is moving on someone who sells restricted weapons and law enforcement access. We believe he has help inside a local agency." Navarro's face tightened. "Our agency? I did not say that. You didn't need to." Leah looked at him. "Do not make conclusions faster than evidence." He nodded. Then his expression changed. "Captain's personal phone." "What about it? He got a message before he cuffed you." Leah remembered Holt inside the SUV. 20 minutes. Did you see the sender? No. Did you see the screen? Only for a second. What did it say, Navarro thought.
Hold vehicle, do not release. Leah's eyes sharpened.
Anything else? I think there was a time. How long? 20 minutes. Leah looked toward Holt's SUV. There was the second hidden truth. The convoy had not simply reacted to a false bulletin. Someone had been actively directing Holt during the stop. Navarro said, "If that message came from whoever entered the alert, don't finish that sentence yet." Why? Because we don't have the phone.
Navarro looked at Holt. We could. Leah's voice became firm.
No. He searched your vehicle. That doesn't give us authority to search his. Navarro looked frustrated. You keep protecting procedure while he's breaking it. Yes. Why? Because if we start choosing when rules matter, we're doing the same thing he is. Navarro went quiet. A fifth aircraft appeared far to the east. Smaller than the others, it approached at highway speed and descended toward a field beyond the turnout. Holt stepped out of his SUV. He looked at the aircraft. Then at Leah. What now? Leah watched the helicopter settle behind a line of trees. Ground liaison. Holt's phone buzzed. He looked down. This time his reaction was immediate. He stepped away. Leah could not see the message. Navarro could see only Holt's face. The captain looked toward the helicopters, then toward the southbound highway. A county SUV appeared in the distance. Holt's shoulders relaxed. Finally, Navarro frowned. What? My sheriff's office sent another command unit. The SUV approached without lights. It pulled into the turnout. A county major stepped out. No new named character. He looked from Holt to Navarro to Leah, then at the helicopters. What happened? Holt answered before anyone else. We stopped a vehicle under an armed tactical impersonation bulletin. Subject refused multiple instructions. Search produced restricted communications equipment. State assets then arrived and claim she's their commander. The major looked at Leah. Claim? Leah said State Tactical Command verified me directly. Holt continued. She also refused to identify the operation she was conducting inside our county. The major looked at the aircraft. Were they operating here? No, Leah said. Holt said, we don't know that. Leah looked at him. The major noticed the cuff. Why is she still restrained? Holt answered, officer safety and unresolved alert.
Navarro said, the alert has no originating agency.
Holt turned. I didn't ask you. The major looked at Navarro. Keep talking. Navarro did. The bulletin was entered locally 8 minutes before the stop. Registration was restricted but not stolen. State Command verified Commander Carter.
Captain Holt's body camera isn't recording. Mine has been on from arrival.
Holt stepped forward. This officer has been undermining the scene from the beginning. The major looked at Holt's camera. Why is yours off? Equipment malfunction. Navarro said battery was functional before shift. Holt's face went red. The major held up one hand. Enough. He looked at Leah.
Commander Carter, I need to verify you independently.
Please do. That answer caught him off guard. She gave him the state operations number from memory. He called. He walked away from Holt while speaking. Holt watched him. Leah watched Holt. 30 seconds later, the major turned around. His entire posture had changed. He lowered the phone. Captain Holt looked at him. The major said, take the cuff off her.
Holt didn't move, so now. Holt stepped behind Leah.
The metal opened. Leah rubbed her wrist once. The major continued. Return her phone, tablet, and watch. Holt's jaw tight. The devices may be evidence. They are not your evidence. Holt walked to his SUV. He opened the door. Then he stopped. Leah saw the hesitation, so did Navarro. Holt reached inside. He removed the tablet, then the phone, then the evidence pouch containing the watch. He handed them to Leah. She checked the tablet first. Then the phone, then the watch. The watch remained dark. She pressed the side button. It powered on. A warning history appeared. Forced separation, authentication failure, local access attempt, 2. Leah's eyes moved to the tablet. Holt saw it. What? She looked at him. Someone tried to access my command tablet twice after you took it. I tapped the screen. You attempted authentication. I tried to open it. That is an access attempt. Holt shook his head. That's not a crime. I didn't say it was. The major said, Commander, Can we resolve this without turning the shoulder of Route 17 into a command post? Leah looked at him. I'd prefer not to, Holt exhaled. For 1 second he looked relieved. Then Leah continued. But first I need Captain Holt's personal phone preserved. The relief vanished. Holt stared at her. Absolutely not. The Major looked between them. Leah said, he received operational instructions during my detention. Holt snapped, that's a lie. Navarro spoke. I saw the message. Holt turned. You saw nothing. Navarro held his gaze. I saw hold vehicle and do not release. The Major looked at Holt. Who sent it? Holt said nothing. The helicopters continued circling. The state liaison helicopter had shut down in the nearby field. A tactical officer was walking toward the turnout now, helmet in one hand, radio in the other. Holt put his hand over his pocket. The Major said, Captain. Holt looked at him. Give me the phone. Holt's face changed. He stepped backward. That's my personal device. Leah's voice stayed calm. You can preserve it without searching it. Holt looked at her. The same words he had ignored when taking her equipment were now being offered back to him. That fact was not lost on anyone. The Major held out his hand. We'll bag it. Nobody accesses it without proper authority. Holt stared at the hand, then at Navarro's body camera, then at Leah. For a moment it looked like he might comply. Instead, he pulled the phone from his pocket and held the power button. Navarro moved first. Captain, don't. Holt kept his thumb on the screen. Leah stepped forward. Mason. He looked at her. Powering it down won't erase the message. His eyes changed. That was the clue she needed. He hadn't been trying to hide only the device. He was thinking about the message. The Major said, hand it over. Holt looked at the highway, then at the helicopters. Then at Leah. Finally, he gave the phone to the Major. The Major placed it inside an evidence pouch from his vehicle and sealed it. Holt's shoulders dropped. Not surrender. Calculation again. The state tactical liaison reached them. He stopped several feet from Leah. Commander. Leah nodded. Status? Delayed. Operation clock moved. How long in minutes? Leah's face hardened. Target? Still static, but we lost a surveillance window during the diversion. Holt listened. The liaison continued. Raven flight diverted under command tamper protocol. Ground team held because your authentication disappeared. Leah looked toward the helicopters. Her mistake had consequences now. Not abstract ones. Her silence had protected operational secrecy. It had also frozen an active team at the worst possible time. The Major asked, is there danger because of this delay? Leah answered honestly, possibly. Holt jumped on it. So you admit withholding your identity made this worse? Leah looked at him. Yes. Everyone went quiet. Holt had expected denial. She continued.
I judged that exposing my role over local radio was the greater risk.
And you were wrong, partly. Holt almost smiled. Leah stepped closer. But you received instructions from someone who knew my vehicle before your deputies did. The smile disappeared. She looked at the Major. The operation we were moving on involves a suspected leak of restricted law enforcement information. The Major's expression changed. Navarro looked toward Holt. Leah continued, if the person who created that bulletin had access to my route, then this stop may not have been random interference.
Holt said, you're accusing me of leaking information.
No. Leah looked straight at him. I'm saying somebody used you. That hit harder. Holt's face tightened. You don't know that.
No, she glanced at the sealed phone. That's why we preserve evidence before deciding what it means.
The tactical liaison's radio came alive. He listened. Then looked at Leah. Commander, you need this. He held out the radio. Leah took it. Carter. The operations chief spoke through static.
Command surveillance reports target vehicle moving.
Leah's expression changed. Direction south. Toward? A pause, then the answer. Stonebridge County. Holt looked up. Navarro stared at Leah. The Major stepped closer. The operations chief continued. We also pulled the routing metadata on the false vehicle bulletin.
Leah's eyes moved to Holt. Go. It was created from a Stonebridge supervisory credential.
Holt's face lost color. The operations chief added one more sentence. Credential assigned to Captain Mason Holt. Nobody moved. Holt looked at the sealed phone in the Major's hand. Then at Leah. That wasn't me. Leah watched him carefully. For the first time since 5 county SUVs boxed her onto the shoulder, she believed him. Not because he deserved trust, because his surprise was real. And that meant the false bulletin was not the deepest problem. Someone had used Holt's credentials, knew Leah's route, knew the operation's timing, and had now sent the target vehicle directly toward the county where her command had been stopped. Leah handed the radio back to the liaison. Then she looked at Holt. "Captain, whoever set this up expected you to make exactly the decisions you made." Holt stared at her. The first helicopter broke orbit and turned south. The others followed. Leah looked toward the highway. Now we find out why. The counterattack began before Leah had both feet inside her Tahoe. The operations chief came over the radio again. "Commander, target vehicle just changed plates." Leah stopped. "Say again." "Surveillance lost visual for 40 seconds at the old quarry junction. Vehicle reappeared southbound with a different plate. Same driver profile, same cargo configuration." Holt stood 10 feet away, listening. The major had ordered him to remain at the turnout while his phone and credentials were preserved. He looked less like a man who had lost control than a man trying to decide whether he could still take some of it back. "This is what I warned you about," he said. Leah turned. "What exactly did you warn me about?"
You came through my county running a covert operation.
"Refused to identify yourself. Triggered aviation. And now you're telling me a weapons suspect is headed our way." Navarro looked at him. "You were given a false alert."
Holt ignored him. Leah said, "And somebody used your credentials to create it."
"You don't know that. The system says your credential." "Then maybe your people are wrong." The tactical liaison stepped closer, but Leah raised one hand. She wanted Holt talking. He continued.
You think because you have helicopters and a state title, every bad decision becomes somebody else's corruption.
Leah held his gaze. "No, I already told you one of my decisions was wrong." That stopped him. "I kept my role concealed too long. It cost the operation time." Holt's jaw tightened. "But you're still responsible for yours." The major came over, holding a second phone. "County just checked the bulletin entry." Holt turned. The major continued.
Your credential was used from a fixed terminal at the sheriff's administrative annex.
Holt stared at him. "I wasn't there, we know. Your cruiser GPS puts you 12 miles west when the entry was made." Leah watched the anger drain out of Holt's face, not relief. "Something worse, recognition. You know who had access to that terminal?" she asked. Holt looked toward the road. Several supervisors. "That's not what I asked." He hesitated. Navarro saw it. "Captain?" Holt rubbed a hand across his mouth. "The annex terminal keeps credentials cached during shift change." The major's expression hardened. "You've been warned about that." Holt snapped. "Half the command staff does it," Leah said. "And whoever created the alert knew yours would be available." Holt looked at her. "Maybe. No. They also knew your name would carry weight with patrol." Silence. Leah stepped closer. "They didn't steal a random credential. They chose yours." Holt's face changed again. That was the line that hurt. The operations chief came over the radio. "Commander, we have a second problem." Raven flight diversion was visible from the target property. Leah closed her eyes for one beat. There it was. The consequence she had been hoping was not real. Did they move before or after the aircraft broke north? 2 minutes after. The major looked at Leah. She said, "The stop wasn't just meant to delay me." Navarro understood first. It was meant to pull the helicopters. Leah nodded. Holt stared at the aircraft turning south. The meaning of the entire roadside confrontation changed in front of him. The false bulletin had not been designed merely to embarrass a commander or expose her route. Someone wanted Leah's authentication interrupted. Someone knew the command tamper protocol would divert aviation toward her last known position. And someone knew the weapons broker would be watching the sky. Twist one had been that the detained woman was the commander. The deeper truth was that her command authority itself had been used as bait. Leah keyed the radio. "Raven lead, cancel visual orbit." Split package, 2 aircraft return to target corridor high and dark. Remaining 2 hold south of Stonebridge outside line of sight. "Copy." She turned to the liaison ground team. "Still north. Move them to secondary intercept alpha, no sirens." "No county radio," Holt said. "You still don't trust us." Leah looked at him. "I don't know which part of your system is compromised." "That's not the same as us." "No, it isn't." She glanced at Navarro. "And that distinction matters. The major ordered the county network isolated from the state tactical channel. For 3 minutes, the roadside became a working command point. Then the target disappeared again. The surveillance drone feed showed an empty stretch of road near an abandoned agricultural distribution yard. The vehicle had gone under a covered loading structure and never emerged. Leah stared at the map on her tablet. That's wrong. The liaison asked, "What? They're not hiding." She zoomed in. A rail spur ran behind the distribution yard. A maintenance road crossed it and connected to a county service lane. The target had used the visible building as a handoff point.
Move Alpha east. The operations chief answered. Alpha is already west of the yard.
Then they're late. That was Leah's second mistake. She had assumed the target would keep moving by vehicle. The broker had assumed she would. A freight locomotive rolled slowly behind the warehouse, pulling 6 flat cars and 3 enclosed service cars toward a private industrial siding. The drone camera caught a white utility van entering behind the last car. Then the van disappeared. Leah's voice hardened. They're transferring cargo to rail. The liaison said, "Raven can stop the train." Holt looked at her. "Why not? Because we don't know who else is on it." She keyed the radio. "Ground team intercept the engine at East Junction."
Treat crew as unknown, not hostile. Raven 2 track the last enclosed car only.
The major looked at her. "And if the broker jumps? Then we take him on foot." Holt gave a bitter laugh. "You always this calm when your plan falls apart?" Leah looked at him. No. She started toward her Tahoe. "I'm calm when people are listening." Navarro moved with her. The major stopped him. "You're staying here." Leah turned. Navarro looked at the major, then at Leah. "I can help." Holt said, "You've helped enough." Leah ignored him. She asked Navarro, "Do you know the East Service roads? Better than state maps?" "Much," the major considered it. Then nodded. "Ride with the liaison, camera stays on." Holt stepped forward. "You're rewarding insubordination."
Leah finally faced him directly. "No, Captain. I'm using the officer who kept the most reliable record on your scene."
Holt's face hardened. "You think one red light makes him righteous?"
No, Leah glanced at Navarro. He hesitated too. Navarro looked down. Leah continued. "He just stopped hesitating before you did."
They left Holt beside the road. That was the first time Leah saw him with no argument ready. 20 minutes later, the tactical convoy reached East Junction without lights. The train had stopped. The engineer and conductor were outside with their hands visible, confused but cooperative. The last enclosed service car was empty. So was the utility van parked behind the siding. The cargo was gone. The broker was gone. The operation had failed. For the next 30 seconds, nobody spoke. The liaison looked at Leah. "We can expand the perimeter." Leah stared at the open rail car. "No, he wants us expanding." Navarro looked around. "What makes you say that? Because the van is here." "He abandoned it. He wanted us to find it." Leah walked toward the rear doors. Inside, the cargo floor was clean except for a torn shipping strap and a wet track of mud. Navarro crouched beside it. Fresh. Leah looked beyond the siding. A drainage culvert ran under the service road toward the old county water plant. She remembered something Holt had said at the stop. Something she had dismissed as ego. Joint operations are normally coordinated. For someone local to exploit her protocol, they needed more than a login. They needed operational timing, but not necessarily from State Command. They only needed to know when aircraft were expected to stay on the ground. She called the operations chief, who received the aviation noise advisory. A pause. County Emergency Management, Regional Airport Control, and 2 utility facilities inside the flight corridor. Which utility? Stonebridge Water Authority. Leah looked toward the dark treatment plant beyond the trees. There was the missing bridge. The false bulletin creator had not needed access to the tactical plan. They had combined 2 pieces of ordinary information, Leah's route from a restricted fleet query and the aviation hold window from a routine noise advisory. Then they used Holt's cached credentials to create the stop. Not a mastermind inside the operation. A local accomplice assembling fragments nobody had thought dangerous by themselves. "Water plant," Leah said. Navarro stood the south facility? "Yes. How do you know?" "I don't." She looked at the muddy track. "But now we have a reason that mattered. No miracle. No guess dressed as certainty."
"A reason. The team moved on foot."
Raven 2 stayed high enough to be heard only as a distant pulse. At the water plant, one maintenance gate stood open. A utility truck idled beside a pump building. The broker was there with 2 other men and 3 sealed weapons crates. No dramatic gunfight followed. Leah did not need one. The tactical team surrounded the building, cut the vehicle route, and used the loudspeaker once. One man ran and was caught at the fence. The other 2 surrendered after 6 minutes. The broker came out last, hands raised, face angry. Not defeated enough to be stupid. He looked at Leah and smiled once. So the helicopters came back. Leah stood behind cover. They were never yours to move, his smile thinned. You moved them for me. That was the closest he came to bragging. It was enough. Later, investigators found the county annex terminal access on a thumb-sized credential tool in his utility truck. They also recovered screenshots of Holt's cached login and a copy of the public utility flight advisory. The broker had no source inside Leah's tactical team. He had something more ordinary, and in some ways more dangerous. Weak procedures.
Careless access, predictable ego.
He had studied prior complaints involving Holt and knew the captain had a pattern of escalating when drivers challenged his authority. The false alert had been designed for that pattern. Leah confronted Holt 2 days later in a county conference room. His phone sat sealed in evidence storage. His body camera had been inspected. It had not malfunctioned. He had switched it off before approaching Leah because he believed the stop involved a sensitive tactical matter and did not want restricted information captured on county storage. That was his defense. It almost sounded reasonable. You think I wanted any of this, Holt said. I saw a restricted vehicle tied to an armed alert. I had a driver refusing to explain herself. I had tactical gear in the car and aircraft dropping into my county. I made calls based on what I had. Leah sat across from him. You also had a route to verify the vehicle. Holt looked away. You had an officer asking for an incident number.
Silence. You had State Command on the phone.
His jaw tightened. And after they verified me, you kept my equipment. Holt leaned forward, because by then the scene made no sense. Leah nodded. That part I believe. He looked surprised. She continued, but when facts stopped matching your assumption, you treated the mismatch as proof that everyone else was suspicious. Holt sat back. Leah placed one page on the table. It was a summary of the broker's planning notes.
One line was highlighted. Use Holt login, he'll hold her if she pushes back.
Holt read it twice. His face changed. Leah did not rescue him from the moment. They didn't choose you because you were corrupt, she said. They chose you because you were predictable. That was the final confrontation he could not argue his way out of. Weeks later, Holt was suspended for the unlawful extension of the detention, the search decisions, failure to record the stop, and mishandling of secure government equipment. The credential security investigation found no evidence that he knowingly helped the broker. That distinction stayed in the final report. The independent review also reopened 11 earlier stops, in which Holt had used the same language: officer safety, non-compliance, restricted information to justify decisions made after the original reason for detention had weakened. Most of those cases did not become criminal matters. Some ended with no finding at all, but 2 drivers had filed complaints that had been closed by Holt's own chain of command without outside review.
Those complaints were reopened. Leah refused to sit on the panel.
I was involved in one of the incidents, she told the major. If the process is supposed to be credible, it can't become my personal verdict. That choice frustrated people who wanted a cleaner ending. It also made the result harder to dismiss. The county review concluded that Holt's largest failure was not one bad stop. It was a pattern of treating resistance to his assumptions as evidence supporting those assumptions. His supervisory authority was removed even after his suspension ended. The broker later pleaded guilty to weapons trafficking, unlawful access to government systems, and interference with a law enforcement operation. Investigators never found a dramatic hidden conspiracy inside Leah's team. That almost made the case worse. The operation had been disrupted by ordinary weaknesses people had learned to ignore. No single failure had caused the breach. Several small ones had lined up, and the broker had needed to understand how they connected. Navarro received no medal. Leah made sure of that. He had done important things, But he had also stood silent during the first minutes when silence was easiest. 3 months later, he visited the State Training Center for a joint agency course. Leah found him outside the classroom, staring at a row of body cameras charging in a cabinet. "You still checking the red light every 5 minutes?" she asked. Navarro smiled, more like every 3. She handed him a training folder. He looked at the cover. "Decision points? Your stop." He looked up. "You're teaching it?" "I'm teaching the places where people could have stopped it." Navarro opened the folder. His own words from the recording were inside. So were Holt's, so were Leah's. He looked uncomfortable. "I should have challenged him sooner." "Yes." Navarro waited. Leah added, "And I should have revealed enough sooner to protect the operation without exposing it." He looked at her. "That's going in the training too?" "Especially that." A small smile crossed his face. "Commanders admit mistakes in this course? Only the expensive ones." He laughed. The relationship had changed. Not commander and junior officer. Not victim and witness. 2 professionals carrying different parts of the same lesson. Months after that, Leah drove Route 17 again. No convoy appeared. No helicopters crossed the ridge. The turnout looked smaller than she remembered. She slowed for a moment, then kept driving. The broker's prosecution was still moving through court. The county had ended cached supervisory logins, added dual authentication for emergency alerts, and required independent verification before restricted state vehicles could be held on temporary local bulletins. Those changes mattered, but Leah knew procedures were only part of the story. A system could be exploited because a password was weak. It could also be exploited because somebody knew exactly how Pride would behave once the password opened the door. Holt had not created the trap. He had simply refused every chance to step out of it. And that was why the helicopters had come. Not to prove Leah Carter was powerful. Not to rescue a commander from 5 county SUVs. They came because one man's need for control had interrupted a protocol built to protect an operation. The fleet in the sky was only the visible consequence. The real failure had happened on the ground, one decision at a time.